So the idea behind this series was, every day my team and I, we were getting a lot of negative news about Corona, and, we were kind of getting swarmed. So we thought instead, let's channelize this on learning from other nonprofits, learning from corporates. And this was enabled by our two summer interns from IIM Bangalore, Hardik and Gajendra. Thanks to them, we got a lot of interesting folks to talk to in the last 2 weeks, starting with SLR Vision Foundation. Then we had a couple of organizations coming from Gujarat, Saath and Visamo Foundation. The learning was beautiful, 30-year-old organizations showing how nimble they can be, and the wonderful work they're doing in education. The other week, Gajendra also then showed that Odisha organizations are no less, and he brought on the forum two organizations from Odisha, and the brilliant work they're doing for the tribals over there, the kind of issues tribals are facing. It was beautiful learning for us, and the audience who could care to join. So this week, we thought we'll request our corporate donor, Fidelity National Financial India Private Limited, an organization that supported us since the last 1 year. It's been a wonderful journey working with them. So instead of going on seeing inside in the nonprofit world, we thought today we'll also see the other perspective. What do corporates think? What do corporates think of community service? And that's the topic you'll be hearing from Mr. Varghese and Mr. Krishna. A small introduction about the two of them. Varghese is the head of HR at FNF India. I don't know if you see his profile, community service and giving seems to be a part of it right from the start. So, and the way he's brought in things around, the way it's professionally done with his team, we love working with them. It's a learning every time there's a report that is asked. We see it as a learning, and it improves our systems and processes. So we are grateful to them, and thank you so much, Varghese, for accepting to share your thoughts with a wider forum. Krishna is our independent director. He recently retired from Bosch, and he's always been into CSR in every single Bosch group company's efforts. So for him, CSR was always part of it. So post-retirement, he wanted to continue. And somehow, we found each other, and because he was looking for something in education. And he after a year of checking us and seeing if we are worth it, he joined in as also the independent director, and I'm really glad today he's there to have this Q&A and conversation with Varghese. So over to you, Krishna. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to the audience for joining us for this lovely learning session. Krishna, you're muted.
I said thank you for a very warm, effusive and passionate introduction as always. It's a pity we couldn't see the video at the beginning. It's a very heartwarming video, but yeah, hope we see it at the end. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a conversation with Varghese. I think before this this forum was open, we joined in a few minutes earlier, and I was sharing with him my impressions of his LinkedIn profile. A person of great, I see him as a person of great depth in relation to people, in relation to humanity at large, and in relation to society. So I take it as both an honor and a great opportunity to talk to somebody like that. And I look forward to a lot of learning today. So thanks, Varghese, for coming on board.
Thank you, Krishna.
Yeah. And just switching tracks, the past few webinars have been about NGOs talking, but we all know that corporates are also a significant player in the ecosystem. And I like the topic of today's session. It's very well worded. It is not CSR, but community service. And I think that itself speaks a lot. We will come to that later. So Varghese, let's start with a certain thing which I have seen in my career lifetime of, let's say, 40 years. So if I roll back to the 1970s, the world was actually, the business world was influenced by the Nobel Prize winning economist of US, Milton Friedman, the monetarist, who in September 1970 published a seminal paper where he said something uh, very clear and specific. He said the only corporate social responsibility a company has is to maximize its profits. I repeat to the audience, the only corporate social responsibility a company has is to maximize its profits. And this thinking pretty much has driven the world for nearly 50 years, half a century. And it just speaks of the influence of one man and his school of thought. But then, switching, fast forwarding to 2019 August, US, there is something called a business roundtable where all the top CEOs of the US companies meet. And in August 2019, they did something very dramatically different. They signed a statement of the purpose of the corporation, which got huge publicity at that time. And they overturned this 50-year dogma. And the statement identified community as one of the 5 key stakeholders of a corporate. And there's a specific phrase there, supporting the communities in which we work is one of the purposes of a company, supporting the communities in which we work. So, in your opinion, Varghese, what do you feel are the causative factors for this, shift from somebody saying the only CSR of a company is to make money, and so now the same set of fellows saying we need to serve the community? Any thoughts on that?
Thank you, Krishna, for that example that you've shared. So I'm going to take a very different approach to this particular question, Krishna. I'm going to take a conflict transformation route, right? When conflict happens, business suffers, right? And we have seen that over and over again. And with this pandemic, we have seen that and we have experienced it to the core, right? Every single, hierarchy in the system have experienced that. So now the question I would reverse it to the businesses is what can we as businesses do so that we can, mitigate this conflict, eliminate this conflict if possible, keep that risk at a very lower end. That means a partnership, a collaboration between the businesses and the community. Now, when I, say that, I'm also mindful that business is already part of the community, right? We can't keep that away from each other. They're very much part of the community. However, from a very different angle, business has a key responsibility to work with the community. So with that, that is one of the factors that I feel that has really helped the businesses to come together and see how they can actually work on, community service aspects. The other aspect that I would see is a long-term commitment, right? Now, for any long-term development, collaborators are critical. Different stakeholders coming together becomes very critical. We cannot put a blind eye to the struggles of the community, right? Now, again, this pandemic that hit all of us all around the world has basically woken us up to that reality that we have put a blind eye on the entire healthcare for all these years. Even though healthcare was growing, even though healthcare was, expanding, now we see, there is so much more we could have done, so much more. The money could have been invested in the right places so that, the community would not have struggled to where it has gone at this stage, right? So on a long-term basis, anything to sustain on a long term, we got to work very closely with the community. So that is definitely another causative factor that's come into picture. It's not a short term. Any development, for that matter, is never a short term thinking. It is always a long term thinking, and different stakeholders to come together. So I'm glad that in India as well in 2015, when the Ministry of Corporate Affairs very clearly came and made it a very structure of corporates, right, within India, that corporates will have to get into this mode, clear structure put in place. So in a way, it is helping us, right? In a way, it is basically channelizing the fund to go into the community service. But there are more catches to that, and probably in the rest of the conversation, I can stitch some of those areas. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was a very nice perspective, and you brought the dimension of conflict management and conflict between different constituents of society and community, and what business can actually do to mitigate it, and therefore in a certain sense serve its long-term interests. I think that was a very brilliant perspective, and saying that long-term success is not possible without collaboration. And I mean, conflict between different segments of a society will erode or retard long-term success of society. Great. Coming back to the topic of today's conversation, it's beautifully titled as Role of Businesses and Community Service. Going by your depth of experience and your whole depth of your breadth of vision on this whole topic, just for the sake of for the audience, I would like you to share your perspective. Are there any nuances of differences between CSR per se, as we understand, and community service, or are these absolute synonyms? So, what do you think about it?
No, I really like this question. When this question did come up, there is a slight nuance there. One thing that I wanted to highlight is community service is at the heart, or should be at the heart of a CSR program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm phrasing that again, community service is or should be at the heart of the CSR program. Now, why did I say that? One of the reasons I said that is because unfortunately today, CSR has become a check in the box for many, many companies, right? It's just a check in the box. They don't want to invest time. They don't want to see where their money is going. They don't want to see what impact they're creating. They just want to get this out as early as possible so that they can focus on the business. That's unfortunate, right? Now, why did I label it as community service, right? Why did I title that as community service? When I even hear the word community service, there is a feeling of ownership that comes to me, right?
Mm.
There's a feeling of service that comes to me, a feeling of commitment that comes to me. The moment I hear community service, then I feel like it's my community, right? It's where I've grown, it's where I've been, it's where I'm working. So I have a role here to play. And one of the questions that we ask ourselves within our own organization is, am I willing to serve the community, right? Am I ready to serve the community? These questions are very, very critical for us to make sure all the programs that we are putting as part of the CSR program is basically doing justice to the core principle. And for me, the core principle is providing service to our community. And here is to help them, mitigate, help them reduce what are the different kinds of conflicts that they are going through. It could be educational related, it could be health related, it could be power related issues. So we can basically talk about some of those areas, but the one, as a CSR program, there is a structure in place which the government has mandated, etc. So that is one aspect of it. But at the heart of it should be the spirit of community service.
Oh, that was wonderful. I mean, I liked it, the beautiful way in which you again reconnected the theme of conflict mitigation, and somehow, conflicts are not something that just happens between countries, or what we are seeing in between Israel and Palestine today, or what we see visibly. Conflicts are very, many times subterranean, right? And
Yeah.
conflict of interest is also a conflict. So I beautifully liked it how you said the spirit of community service is an instrument, perhaps, to 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 kind of mitigate and ease these conflict of interest and other conflict. At this point in time, I just want to give the audience a chance. Anybody who wants to share a perspective on the 2 points we discussed, or ask a question, please feel free to do so. I don't want to pile all this up at the end and just do a token tick in the box for the audience participation. So please take your time and ask any questions or share anything that you have on the 2 points we've discussed. You can unmute yourself and speak. Nobody?
Hi, this is Jayashree.
Hi, Jayashree.
Yes, hi. Hi, Varghese.
Hi, Jayashree.
Hi, Alita. Thanks for inviting us to this wonderful session, and I really appreciate the united efforts. Is it? It's called the group,
Yeah.
and we'd love to see the
Yes.
video at some point. The young lady did a very nice welcome. It was very infectious. Yeah, on the point of corporate social responsibility and community service, I agree with exactly what he's saying. I know his heart is in for community service. To me, the distinction is CSR is a lot of paperwork. It's
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not complaining about that, because I think that also gives us, those who are actually working on the ground, to actually think through the project we want to do and plan better, and and put the money where it's really required. That planning really helps. But we're always worried about, okay, am I reporting this right? Did I get this right? And so I think
Mm,
there a little bit, we lose the flavor sometimes. But yes, totally agree with what Varghese was saying. Is, I think at the heart of it, it is the service, and I really appreciate
mm,
what FNF is doing for us. Yeah, thank you. Please continue.
yeah. Any other point? Meenakshi, you wanted to say something? Looks like.
Oh no, I'm really glad that Jayashree, shared her point of view, and it was hilarious when she said it's a lot of paperwork. Yeah, but yeah.
I'm from the corporate side, Jayashree, and I know the kind of paperwork we can sometimes demand. Okay, and with all the board accountability and other stuff that has come in
Sure.
now,
Yes, yes.
the oversight has become much tighter. I
Correct.
also can relate to the CSR we were doing prior to Companies Act Amendment 2013.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was far more, in today's term, loose in terms of
Yes.
paperwork. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, be
Yeah.
that as it may, that's
Yes.
how
Yes.
it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I see somebody has put something on the chat. Let me try and open.
Okay.
No, it only says here's a short video on YouTube, so I think that's just a comment. I would like to move on. We had a good talk about the evolution of management thought and community service. Now, Varghese, turning to your company and more specifically, your personality is something that is rubbing off on me. I'm sure that the audience is quite eager to know more about the philosophy, the approach, the focus of what you're doing in FNF India in relation to community service. A few words on that will be very, very helpful to all of us.
Sure. See, as an organization, we believe that community service is our responsibility as well, right? So we begin from there, that it is our responsibility as well. Because if we don't approach it in this way, then CSR can definitely become a check in the box activity, right?
Hmm.
Because it is the NGO's responsibility. It is not our responsibility. But I think we have basically made a transition there, seeing that it is also our responsibility because we are in the middle, right here with the community. So it is our responsibility. Number two, the leadership team is continuously on the lookout for what and how much and where can we do some of these community service. So there is constant discussion that happens, and our CEO and our other executive management team is constantly looking out for where else can we make a difference, right? So there is a influence coming right from the top, which makes it a lot more easier for excellent programs to arrive at. And what we have also done is, see, we have also been very honest and transparent with ourselves that we cannot do everything, right? And it's impossible. We cannot be completely in the entire nation. But so let's focus on what are those priority areas that we want to really make a difference, right? So we have also prioritized the area. Children and education is one area which is close to our heart. Women empowerment is the second area. Skill India, right? Getting our young people skilled so that they are able to get a job, so that through them their families can grow. So that's one more area that we are looking at. And the other area is around health, right? And as part of children and education, we are also looking at differently abled children, so that we are able to also find projects around that particular programmatic area. So because we put together very, very specific areas, it makes it much easier for us to narrow down our programs and initiatives, right? It's a little structure there that we have put in place, but I think it has really helped us over the years, not to be everywhere, but to be in few areas, but do really good work. Because at the end of it, What we are looking at is impact. What we really want to see impact. And that's where I think we trouble the NGOs a lot more by closely working with them, having meetings with them and trying to understand what's the difference, because we really care. That's the point. It's not, we are not micromanaging it at all, but we really care about what is the change that we are seeing there, and our leaders really care for that. They would love to hear stories about what is the impact that's happening. So that's our overall philosophy and the approaches, focus areas that we have put together.
Oh, that's great. I mean, from whatever you said, I've taken about, they noted 5 words. The headline right at the top is belief. Okay, belief that uh, community service is our responsibility, and what you didn't say, but I could infer, and I'm therefore saying it. Believe that community service is our responsibility as much as we are responsible for business and business results. You didn't
Absolutely.
say that, but I think
It's
that
it's
is
like
understood. I mean, if it said that, it would have sounded immodest, so I could understand your tact in not saying it. So that belief is fantastic. The second one is a great involvement of the top management. The third is what I see is you have a strategy where you have your priorities, you have a certain high degree of commitment, and a structure. So all these come together and give you, real engine towards impact. That's really great. Would it be possible, just as a curiosity, I'm asking you, how many projects you are doing and what's the geographical spread, just as a matter of information?
right. So presently we have 6 projects that's running, and most of it projects are based in the southern region, except one project that is pan India, right? But otherwise, all the other 5 projects are based in the southern belt itself. So it would be Kerala, it would be Karnataka, it would be Tamil Nadu. These are the the 3 states that we focus on. And one other project is pan India, so the target beneficiaries are spread out. Yeah.
So that's really great. That's very very nice to hear. So since I've been in corporate and I was deeply involved in CSR in the Bosch Group in India, one thing that we always had a very dynamic tension, I call it, is the participation of employees in community service initiatives and projects. We were successful in parts, and I must admit, not at all successful in large parts. So, how do you see that in FNF? Uh, just would like to hear your experiences on that.
Right. So right from the time we started off, the entire program within the organization, one thing that we made sure is, have a group of CSR spots, right? The community service spots. We created that,
Mm-hmm.
and this group was involved right from the beginning, right? Even for example, when we are getting in the proposals and when we put together all those proposals, we also take some of these spots through what are the different projects that has actually come to us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we basically, it's so many a times they wonder, why am I sitting in this meeting, because this is a decision that the higher authorities need to take. But one of the
Mm.
reasons I wanted them to basically see and feel is that we are, the process is very transparent. We are inviting organizations to come with their project ideas, and to also show our spots, here are the different projects that are available, but then we focus on very specific target areas. So one, we take them through that entire channel. Two, in the past, what we have done is we have actually done a lot of field trips, right? We have taken our employees all the way
Oh.
from Bangalore all the way to Hassan, and have them interacted with the beneficiaries out there, did a one-day programs, health camps where we took all these employees in a TT to a different location altogether. So there's a lot of involvement that is happening there. And and the way we actually get them involved is through motivating them. Now, how do we motivate these employees, right? So we send out these stories quarterly. We send out stories across the organization, and these are stories of change that are coming in from our reports, monthly reports from our organizations. And that's why we bank on these stories, because stories influence people, stories move mountains, right?
Lovely,
Stories can
lovely, yeah.
break even the hardcore folks to basically come down and see what can they contribute. So the idea is, through these stories we make them responsible citizens, right? Some of them want to do, but they don't know how to do. right? They're so busy with their work, they don't know how to do. But when we start sharing these stories, employees do reach out to us and say, can I be part of it? Is there a way I can be part of it? And that's how we connect with them and we take them through. And with the lockdown recently, we are looking at a stronger strategy to get our employees to virtually connect with some of the projects that are happening. So we are in building that particular strategy now. But this is the overall game plan of how we have brought in our core, community service volunteers.
Very, very impressive. I must add, really, really impressive. I like your phrase, "Stories move mountains." I think it's a real, it's a very powerful metaphor for what you're saying. But just to stay with this topic of employee involvement, there's one issue which we had grappled with, or I had grappled with, as a CSR committee member and all the related promoter of CSR. There's this talk about incentivizing employees to, kind of get involved and participate in CSR, giving them some freebies or some incentives or whatever. Uh, how do you see that? We had a lot of debate in our company and we're not sure what to do.
Understand.
Your take on that?
So it again goes back to our foundation, right? This is our responsibility, right? So the moment we see it from that particular perspective, then incentive is basically out of the question, right? I don't
Mm.
want to do this because I'm going to get something, right? So we are not approaching it in that direction at all. And all of these Spocks, right, that we have, close to 30 Spocks that we have, they've given their
Mm-hmm.
time even in the last years that they have worked with us. They've given their time over and beyond their business time, right? And if some of them
Wow.
want to travel to some of these regions, they have traveled to these regions, but also made sure their work does not get affected. So, and that's the ownership that we are looking at, right? That's where a genuine change will happen, because it is purely volunteer. The very word volunteer defines that I don't want to get anything in return back, because this is my time for my community. This is
Mm.
my energy that I would like to give back to the community. So I think that's the route that we have taken. We have never gone into the other route of incentivizing it, or we have never had a narrative in that manner. And I'm glad we didn't have it in that manner, because I think it's important to maintain the sanctity of the community service initiative, right? So
Mm.
that's the approach we have taken, Krishna.
Thanks. That's great. Uh, See, for example, just to share with you, we were discussing. I'm not talking about monetary rewards, okay? To the volunteers who contribute maximum number of hours of volunteering, a dinner with the CEO, those kind of stuff.
Oh
And there
yes.
were also some outside NGOs, not NGOs, agencies who came and said we will help you develop some kind of a rewards program for your employees. In fact, I was always against any reward program for doing social work, because it has to come from the heart.
Right. Right.
And I subscribe to what you said absolutely, that you, there's no expectation when you return. I'm doing this because I get a dinner with the CEO. And then such a volunteer, I said, I don't want on board
Right.
because you're doing it to help some other human being in need, right?
Right. Right.
So I think there's a huge, huge amount of sync. So what do you look for when you're looking at a NGO partner?
Right. So from the start, when we developed this particular initiative, we always look for NGOs who have tremendously shown a quality of change and transformation which they have created in the community, right? So that is something that we look at. So that means basically their track record of the kind of work that they have done. Number one. Two, see, the size of the organization does not matter to us, right? And
Oh,
our
okay.
CEO CEO has made it very clear the size, it does not matter. Even if you have gotten a very, very small organization that is doing excellent community service initiatives, tie up with them, because that's where our work lies, right?
Mm.
And that's right from the leadership chain. And that's why even in our projects, we have different kinds of organizations. We have organizations that are big. We have also organizations that are very, very on a smaller scale. And with the programmatic areas, they need to be in line with some of our focal areas, which makes it easier for us to drive those projects. So I think that is our focus, is the kind of work that the organizations have done where they have seen sustained change and they have seen transformation.
Oh, that's very nice. So you basically look at scope for synergies, and you have identified 4 or 5 areas like children's education, including differently abled, women empowerment, which you mentioned earlier, Skill India program, etc. And the NGOs must be operating in that space. You look for passion, you look for uh, the track record, and you're not really looking at a huge organization. As long as there's a fit, you go ahead. I think that must be quite reassuring and heartwarming to NGOs to hear that. That means you're open to anyone,
Right.
and you don't look at some brands, or there's some NGOs who build very good brand name. So I think that's not on your radar. So, switching tracks, Varghese, I would like to slightly move on to a personal note. I hope you don't mind. Uh, I'm sure you have a lot of on field experiences and all that. Could you share a couple of experiences in the work that you're doing that moved you deeply? Really moved you,
Sure.
and then kept your head spinning for, let's say, a few hours or days?
Sure.
I'm sure there are many, but a couple would do in the interest of time. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll pick probably 2 quick stories for us. One is, let me tell you the story of Raji. Raji is 28 years old, lives with her only daughter who's 8 years old. 5 years ago, she lost her husband, and she comes from this village called Sirupakam. So she was basically left with no income and no livelihood. And this village, the closest hospital to this village is 90 kilometers away. That's the closest. So that means they have to come all the way from Sirupakam into Salem for a good hospital where they can get treated. Now, in that kind of setting, Raji tried to look at all these small jobs so that she can feed her child and continue moving her family up. And that's when she gets to know that there is an organization called Kripalayam Charitable Trust, and they have started something called the Tailoring Center, right? And that was one of the projects that we worked very closely with Kripalayam. And she got to know this, and she came there, and the organization received her in, and then put her on a training of tailoring. And very soon she picked it up. Not only she had a skill to pick it up quickly, but she had a dream, and the dream was to help her child grow, give her a good education, so that that income is sustainable on a monthly on a monthly basis. So she takes up this job, and she shows extreme ownership in the job. And today she is not only doing a job, but she is also a supervisor at the tailoring center.
Wow.
So she is already moving up in terms of her own growth. And what she has done, she has also gone and spread this news to the neighboring villages. Now, many more women are coming into the center now so that they can get trained, so that they can get some source of income in their own respective village. Now, like Raji, we have 70 other women who are in the training center. And each of these women carry a baggage that we don't know, a baggage that we don't know how heavy it is, because our experiences are different compared to those experiences. So that is one story that has moved me so strong. And this is part of our women empowerment project that's coming. So I just wanted to highlight the story, and probably quickly highlight the story of Preeti. Preeti is this small girl from a village in Hubli, and Preeti comes from a very poor financial background, but she had a heart to know, to speak in English, to read English, right? And we know as kids, some of the kids aspire for it, but they don't have an opportunity. They don't have a mentor, they don't have a school. There's no one to basically handhold them and teach them. And through a project that we did through Deshpande Foundation, the volunteers there, they had called this SIV program, where they work with some of these, identify these kids and work with these kids. Now, because she had a passion, right? So I'm not taking the credit. I'm giving all the credit to her. Because she had a passion, she picked up that language very, very fast. And not only that, the Deshpande Foundation put her as a mentor for other kids so that she can train other kids in the language. Wow. And she got an opportunity to speak at the Development Dialogue 2020. And she spoke in front of this massive audience. And we had Mohandas Pai, who's an award winner, and we had the co-founders of Deshpande on the stage. when she spoke in English. So that is moving for us, from a point where she didn't know how to read and speak to a point where she's addressing a crowd. So, because of the stakeholders, because of the organization, because of what the volunteers have done there, those stories move us. They really move us to do more.
I got goosebumps listening to you. Believe me,
It's
amazing.
an experience. Yeah, yeah,
It's really amazing.
yeah.
Uh, just this point, I think you've already mentioned in some manner, but just to pick your brains on this. There are in community service in CSR, there are two extreme schools of thought. One school of thought says companies should get on with business, identify good NGOs, write checks, and get out of the way. The other school of thought says no, companies should be hands-on, involved in all the community service activities. What are your perspectives?
Um, Once again, this Krishna, are you there? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm there.
So once again, I love this question because we have had multiple discussions, right? So, our CEO would often say, just write a check to the Prime Minister's fund and be done with it, right? But then he immediately stops and he says, but that's not our approach, right? That is not our game plan. Our game plan is we want to know where our money is going, right? We want to see it. We want to be part of that journey. We want to walk with those organizations and do more than not just contributing money alone, but do more, right? Be connected with them and see if we can learn anything from them. So our leadership is very clear right from the beginning that we do not want to just write off a check and then be done with it. That's not our approach, but to be actively involved in the journey, right? And Jayashree spoke here just a few minutes ago, and Asha, she's the founder of Asha, which works with children dealing with autism, right? And right from the time we started working with Jayashree is one of the pioneers in India in this particular field. Right from the time that we have worked with Asha, we have learned so much more about autism that we were unaware of before. So basically, NGOs here are sensitizing us. They're trying to tell us what exactly the issue is and how you got to see the issue. So, a big collaboration has actually been formed here. And that is exactly we wanted to, arrive at through this particular journey. So that's one of the reasons why we are, constantly behind the NGOs and for meetings and reports and understanding the game plan so that we can learn through this process.
Yeah, I mean, also I just want to add the story of Raji and Preeti. These you will never get to know if you just write checks.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're so moving that I think that the glow you get in learning about such people is far greater than anything else. You just write a check and give it. You never know. It's very inert. So I deeply appreciate that. Moving on, maybe a couple of more questions before we throw it to the audience. We have about 13 minutes to go. In community service and especially from corporate side, and now thanks to the Companies Act thing, this whole topic of impact makes many of us who are helping NGOs, etc., very nervous. Well, I was on the other side of the fence, so we should talk a lot about impact. So, how would you in FNF go about looking at impact?
Right. So, we have, as Jayashree pointed out earlier, there's a lot of paperwork, right? So proposals are drafted, goals are set, objectives are set, because as a corporate world, we run on some of those parameters. Now, having said that, we are also open to see, because it's community and it is not static. It's a very dynamic world, right? Things change and nobody expected this pandemic last year, right? Early on last year, the projects were developed, everything, and when projects kick-started, and we never knew that the pandemic is going to take this turn. So what we did, we worked very closely with the organizations to see, maybe there are certain activities that needed to be put on hold because it was not the right timing to put those activities in. So we worked with them and we listened to them. I think that is something I would say. We listened to them, what could work, what need to change slightly in a different form altogether. And we made those amendments into the project proposal so that basis that we are able to now look at, what was the impact. Now, just to give you an example, with one of the organizations that we have worked with, the focus was to help 1,000 out of, youth who are out of work. or looking for work, train them, make sure, provide them all these interview opportunities with different companies and place them in jobs. And even through the pandemic, I just want to thank that organization, Magic Bus, that worked on it. They were able to place 1,000 young people into work. And that's a
Wow.
huge, we never thought it would happen with the pandemic, but the organization still did it. And we, gave all the support that we can to make sure we arrive at that result. So impact is there, right, on one side, but we don't want to go hardcore on it saying, okay, you have said 10, I want you to show me 10, right? We because it's community service is dynamic. And
Exactly.
that is something that we need to understand. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. And probably my last question before we throw it open to the audience. I just metaphorically asking you to close your eyes and imagine and dream about 23 years from now, say year 2024, 2025. And what would you dream as FNF's contribution to community service? Just as a wish.
Thank you. Thank you. See, one thing that I would definitely see is sustained change, right? A
Mm-hmm.
change sustained over the years and it's built its momentum. That is one thing that I would love to see. And number two is the ripple effect of the transformation, creating more change within their own pockets in their own communities, right? So it's like throwing a stone into the water and how that creates that ripple. Like we were just a small stone, right? And or
Mm-hmm.
just there at the shore trying to throw that stone, but then all the other stakeholders coming in, all the other players coming in and creating that effect. And that is something I would love to see 2 to 3 years down the line, is how other organizations can continue to create that change.
Very beautifully and evocatively put. I like this idea of ripple effect, where the momentum gets generated. I will pause now. Maybe the audience has some questions or perspectives to share. We can take them for 5 minutes. And Meenakshi, question to you: is your video now set? We can show them, or are we skipping it for today? Just for my time planning.
Gajendra, can you do you think you can show that video? It's in the link over there.
Not right now. Sure. Let's finish the audience round, and then we show the video. Yeah. From the audience, anything? Anybody would like to ask Varghese or share their perspectives?
Yeah, I would like to share a few points. And Varghese, believe me, you're one of the easiest ones to work with. And I'm really complaining of the paperwork you have given us, but it is wonderful. You're really one of the easiest, ones to work on. But I'll tell you the paperwork, when we talk about the impact and the stories that what we have to give as reports, has actually created a system for NGOs, if I can say, because otherwise we would have gone ahead doing our work on a day-to-day basis. Because for us, it is the job, we are involved in it, so we don't really see it from an outsider's perspective, and we are not actually taking a step back to check and see what change I need to make, or what can I do better, or where can I put my resources better. Those kind of things have come in only because we have this corporate influence now in helping us use our money at the right space. So I think that is a good thing for NGOs to go through, because I mean, there's good heart, there's no doubt about it. I mean, people are very, very committed, very passionate, and are there for the right reasons. But I think this system will help, I think, to create the impact, which is I think. The other thing on stories, that see, we feel that, I think this is something to do with India, I don't know. Indians don't really know how to brag about what we do, right? It's been like all over. We have achieved so much within the country, and we have achieved so much within the NGOs itself, but we really don't know how to talk about it and bleat about it or pat our own backs. So these kind of things, when we actually have to report, in fact, I am so surprised at the results of our own work sometimes, because I get to read the stories before we send it out. The team, working on the ground, will actually put the story together, and then only I get sometimes a full perspective of what has happened. So I think this is a good way of actually advocating our work and helping us, put ourselves out there. Otherwise, we take it for granted. This is everyday story. Okay, let's go about it. So I think I really appreciate the corporate, support and this whole thing, because I feel that especially in the work which we are doing, and thanks Verghese for mentioning us, we won't have survived. There is no way organizations that work for children with special needs have a sustainable model today. I don't think so. Because the cost escalates every year. The parents who come from such diverse backgrounds, they really, many of them cannot afford to spend so much on this one child with special needs. Government is doing only one little bit, and we really don't have a system. We are not in the education sector as such. We are under Ministry of Social Justice or under Women and Child. So I don't think we have been able to survive in anything like this pandemic. Definitely not. We would have just shut shop, months ago. So I really, I'm very grateful for the support that we're getting from outside, because our families are now helped. Otherwise, we have to run around wondering, whom to help and how to think. This is major issues when we have chronic problems. So I really thank you so much for giving me time. I don't want to take all the time, but I really wanted to share on these couple of points.
Maybe in the interest of time, we can take one more comment from the audience before we move on to the video from Meenakshi, and then I would like Verghese to conclude with a few closing comments. Yeah.
Just to, how long would that video be? Because I'm so sorry. I have a hard stop at 5.
I know that. It's 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough.
So, but before that, Verghese, I would like to, to the point you made on being involved and not really nitpicking. It was really nice when, when we had submitted a proposal to, FNF India. That was before the, COVID struck and everything went haywire. So instead of just, signing the check and saying, okay, it was really nice when they came back and said, how would you see things now? Because that gave us the bandwidth. We could reassess, and the support has been so hugely appreciated by the schools, the school management, my team. For example, what are you talking about career counseling when there are no schools happening? But if we hadn't been there for us children in these hard times, they're going to wonder what career are you going to help us set in the future? After 10th, where are you going to be? One small flip and you guys absconded kind of a thing would have happened. And, giving them, mobile phones, all the bright students whose education, might have just been discontinued because they didn't have. You've seen so many stories in the newspaper that, they sold their tali and they sold their television to buy mobile phone. So those children, it made a big difference. Our HMs, our teachers, we shared videos also of how beautifully the parents articulated all of that. So kindly please be involved as this, help us, guide us, and it's always nice to get a different perspective on things. So yes, thank you very much.
Meenakshi, may I take the liberty of suggesting that we skip the video because we just have 3 minutes to go, and I see somebody has raised their hand. In my mobile, I'm not able to make out who it was, and then we will give it to Verghese for closing comments. So whoever has raised your hand, my request is please 60 seconds would be ideal.
Okay, sir. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but I have to do this. 60 seconds, please, and I'll be brutal on that.
Okay, sir. I take this opportunity to thank FNF for one thing is that more than any kind of a project as a CSR, I see that they work at the current situations, need of the hour. What happens at the field and what needs to be addressed, they come up with the ideas by not looking at whether they have a proposal for that or not. And I have experienced that, and I should be very grateful that the need of the hour, the current situation is being looked upon by the company, and they are being very supportive to do that, which I should take this opportunity to thank FNF, telling them that this sustainability, the kind of thought they have in the company policies are very huge in NGOs like us. We do not know, we do not plan things. We work instantly. So when because we are into disaster management and things like that, we don't know when
Sorry, Shibu,
disasters
I have to
come.
cut you off. Please,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
because
Okay,
Varghese
thank you.
has a
So,
sharp cut. So, Varghese,
sure.
couple of concluding comments and then we will end.
Yeah,
From
sure.
your side, please.
In as a foundation, right? I would quote Mother Teresa's sentence statement here, and I think that stands as the foundation for many of our community service initiatives. She says, "Love cannot remain by itself; it has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service." So I think that's the foundation on which we stand.
Very
Wow.
beautifully said. Yeah.
What a wonderful way to conclude. Thank you so much for your time. I would have loved to continue for another 1 hour more, but we know that you made time despite your hectic schedule. Thank you so much. Thanks to the audience for your participation. I'm sorry I couldn't accommodate more questions. It was an illuminating discussion. Thank you. Wishing you all a safe,
Thank you.
healthy, and positive days to come. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Krishna.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bye.
having us. Bye.
Bye. Bye.